Tukwaniriza mu programu eno Uganda gye twagala, the Uganda we want. Nze Mulanzi Robert okwaniriza mu programu eno tugera kutambula ffenna mu kadde kano Mukama katuwadde ale tuwulire leero gwe tuleese mu ntebe ya the Uganda we want. Uganda ki gyayagala okulaba we tuli wayagala tubeere oba ayagala wabeerewo ekikyuka. Niranga bulijjo ekibuuzo kyange ekyembabuuza mwe abagoberera programu eno kigamba nti enkola y'emirimu mu gavumenti n'obuvunaanyizibwa bwo bikuwa ekifaananyi kya Uganda gy'oyagala. Banga si ppanvu nnyo mu seconds nga 3 nja kuba nkasharinze kano nga sinabakwaniriza mugenyi gwe nnyina olunaku olwaleero. Ebanga si ppanvu nabadde ntambula nensanga musajja mukulu mu myaka ali myaka nga 5 yabadde avuga emmotoka UAN 875Q okumanya nti nakutene number plate ye. Twatambudde okuva ezzana ne tugenda mpaka Empala. Omusajja ono nga yaguze ebikajjo naye nga buli lwalya akwata akasuka mu kkubo. Jjukira oluguudo lwo bali mu ddukolako lw'Entebbe Road. Twatuuse ne wali awapya emmotoka ye nga nnyonjo naye luguudo lwavugirako nga luyonjo naye n'ataswala ku gamba nti owaayo ebikuta bino eby'ebikajjo byendya kanfune we mbiteeka tunaabijjamu. N'agenda ng'asuula kasasiro oyo. Ebyo Uganda mu butuufu gy'oyagala nga tulina abantu bwe batyo. Kale no munzikirize twanirize mu ntebe ya the Uganda we want Honorable Winnie Kiiza'S. She is a Ugandan teacher and I believe she's not retired, or she might have retired but not tired. And she is a politician and she served as the leader of opposition in the Ugandan parliament from May 2016 until August 2018. And of course, she was a member of parliament representing Kasese district in the 10th parliament. She's here with us. You're welcome, Honorable Winnie Kiiza'S.
Thank you, Robert, for inviting me to this program. And our viewers and listeners, thank you for being part of this show of the Uganda that you want.
It's such an honor and a privilege to have you in this program. Briefly, who is Honorable Winnie Kiiza'S?
Winnie Kiiza'S is a woman from the mountains of Rwenzori, born to Modest Muke and Costes Muke. In 1972, I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm a friend to many. I've lived half of my years in politics, so I'm a politician, I'm a teacher, I'm a social worker. What do I say and what do I live? But I started my political journey at a district level as a district councillor for 8 years. And at that level, I served as a secretary for finance. I again served as a secretary for social services. And so I got to understand the issues, the interests, the pain of the common person at that level. In 2006, I set my journey to the National Assembly. And I can say I was the first female in the opposition from Western Uganda. The second joined us in 2018. That is the Honorable Betty Muzanira.
After 12 years.
After 12 years. Even up to now, there is no other woman who is in the opposition after me and Betty Muzanira. So I've been in parliament, I was in parliament for 15 years, getting it to 23 years as a politician. And I want to thank the people of Kasese for trusting me that much. I want to thank the Ugandans for giving me the opportunity to serve them. But I most especially thank them for enabling me to play my role as the leader of the opposition. I was the first female leader of the opposition in this country since independence. I had no reference point as a woman, but Ugandans paved the way. Together, we did what we could to shape the Uganda that we wanted. So we have participated with Ugandans. Many of the Ugandans know the Uganda that they want. They might not be there yet, but they know a Uganda that they want, just like I do.
Okay. Wow, it's good to have you. And just before we go further, in brief, which Uganda do you envision?
I look forward to a Uganda that values human beings. When I say a Uganda that values human beings, a Uganda that is free from torture, a Uganda that respects human rights, a Uganda where leaders feel that they are accountable to the people whom they represent, a Uganda that values the children of Uganda. When I talk about the children of Uganda, they have quality education, they have quality health, and they are exposed to better role models. A Uganda where each one of us believes that they owe the country something. You have just talked about a gentleman who was throwing garbage on the road. That one doesn't know that he's accountable to someone else. I look forward to a Uganda where our leaders will know that they are servants of the people. Not a Uganda where a leader who is in position of influence thinks that he's there because he's possibly so special and will even get the courtesy to stand up and say, I am not a servant of anyone. In fact, I don't care about anyone. We want to see a Uganda which will have leaders that respect institutions. A Uganda that believes in the rule of law. A Uganda that believes in good governance and constitutionalism. That is the Uganda that I really emphasize in future, where you will walk into the health systems of the country and you are treated. The doctors are well paid. The teachers of the nation are respected. The mothers of the nation are respected. They go to health centers, they deliver safely, they go to their gardens, they will dig and know that their produce will get market and get them out of poverty. I just look forward to that Uganda, where each one of us will be free to speak, and what you speak will not be used against you. I look forward to a Uganda where each one of us will know that I'm responsible for the well-being of my neighbor.
Okay. Well, it's good to hear the Uganda that you envision, the Uganda that you want. Just in depth, let me take you a little bit back. You've been a teacher and you're still a teacher. Talking about the education of this country, it has had, bottlenecks and loopholes when it comes to its development. And just a question for you, Honorable. What do you think needs to change when it comes to the education sector? What they have brought in, I think you've heard about the Uganda teachers, national teachers policy, and a few, changes they have made. But what do you think needs to change when it comes to the education sector, first and foremost?
We need to have an entire overhaul of the curriculum. The system that we have currently is creating job seekers. It's not encouraging innovations. I need to see a Uganda where our children will finish school and are capable of doing something. Not where children are finishing school and they are all over on the streets. They can't be part of the innovators. They can't have any skill they can take to the job market. They can't be in position to even do something on their own. The education sector needs a total overhaul. And this can be done by changing the curriculum. So if we change the curriculum, then we shall have a curriculum that looks at your interests, your abilities. They develop those abilities to the extent that when you are finishing your senior 4, you are capable of doing something. And I want to see this happen in real life.
Not just
Currently,
talking about
they
it.
are talking about it, but government is not putting the structures in place that will make it happen. Take an example where they are telling schools, ensure you are training some of your learners into some skill. By the time they leave, they should be having at least something they can do. But you are not giving ebigenderako. Bakoze sechi. Are you giving them the tools? Talking just may not be
The solution.
the solution. Say, yes, school X, what do you want to be your expertise? They may say, well, for us, we may do maybe bricklaying and carpentry, or bricklaying and construction. Give them the tools so that the learners who are going through that school know that they are doing it to help the students who will leave that school to be having some additional skill. I went through St. Maria Goretti Girls School in Fort Portal. Among the subjects that were being taught at school was typing, tailoring, and cookery. They were part of the subjects that were at school. By the time a girl finishes senior 4, at least she can do, she has a certificate of catering, she has a certificate of tailoring, she has a certificate of typing. And these were the secretaries that were being taken on. So even when I finish my senior 4, I can sufficiently go and open up a restaurant, and I know I'll manage it because I have the skills. They can go and start baking, and they know they will earn a living from the baking. They can go and maybe begin with a tailoring machine, and they establish themselves, have a boutique. These were the schools, and I would imagine that we can start with that. Last week, I was at St. Mary's College, Lugazi. The director of the school has set up so many fish ponds because for him, he thinks that I have to give my learners a skill
that will sustain them.
That will sustain them, even education. Can you be in position to understand how a fish is looked at from the period it is a fry to a period when it goes to the market? Because many people eat fish. Many people have land, but they don't know how to manage. So if you have the opportunity of land, you have gone through such a school, you can be in position to do your next step as you leave school. But these I'm talking about are private schools.
They are not government schools.
They are not government schools.
Should be done by government schools.
Such initiatives are not in government schools, and our government is saying, look, go and do it. Bakoze
no tools.
No tools. So they are making it even hard for the teachers themselves who are ready to provide their skills and ensure that the Ugandan population, the Ugandan children, are having a better service, but they don't have what to use. I was talking to a doctor in one of our government hospitals, and the doctor told me, Honorable, I am leaving the government hospital. I said, why? That in the government hospital, you see a patient coming, you really diagnose the disease, but there are no medications. Even the gloves, you can't get them. I feel so bad that a patient is dying in my presence, is dying in my hands because I don't have what to use.
He's a qualified doctor.
He's a qualified doctor. He has the knowledge. He wants to use it to save life, but he can't save life because he doesn't have enablers. So the Uganda I want is where this doctor will do his work and really believe that I am participating in the process of saving lives. Because that is what he started to do. So even if we change the curriculum without the will to change the systems and ensuring that everything is done humanly possible to ensure that our learners get the best out of the curriculum, we may not do much. So I really look forward to a Uganda where the learners get the best out of their education. And they know that once they get out of the education institutions, they are capable of transforming their societies and make a contribution to saving lives.
Yeah, well, because you've talked about the curriculum, we have a National Curriculum Development Center. What are they doing?
The National Curriculum Development Center, I will tell you,
what are they developing?
Develop the curriculum depending on the leadership of the country.
Oh.
Yes, today President Museveni will wake up and say, I want learners to be like now. They are saying teachers in schools manage. You should find a way of managing to compress the 2 years that students have lost. Now there is no examinations. Those who are in P6, I'm talking about primary now, those who are in P6 can choose to go to P7. Those who are in P7, ensure you take them through P6 and P7. Those who are in senior 4, ensure you take them through the S3 work and the S4 work. So does the curriculum have meaning? Because those who develop the curriculum know that there is a system you must follow to reach senior 4. They know that before you get to senior 4, you must have learned A, B, C, D, and for a specific period of time. But now we are getting things of 2 years, we are compressing them into 1 year.
And even less.
And even less. And we are developing minds of people. Are we just getting out students who are schooled, or we want students who are learned?
So there is a difference.
There is a difference. Yes, someone can go to school and get out of school without learning anything. Then someone goes to school, yes, goes to school, but at the same time learns. Ngaize. Naye kati chetuliko tubeje komangu. Bagende bamalirize. Kubanga bali no kumala.
You've got no time.
Yes, bali no kumala. Mwina ingeri je mugenda kikwataganya mu mukikwate mpola mpola mulabe nti bakola ki? Bayita. Oba bamalirize emisomo gyabwe. Well, I will not blame them for the period which COVID attacked us, but I know they should have done it better.
Yeah, you've talked about that one of the challenges or problems we have as a country is poor leadership.
Yes.
And now the question comes to my mind, since I have you, Honorable Winifred Kiiza, how can we really have a Uganda with good leadership?
We can have a Uganda with good leadership. By the way, we have very, very nice leaders in this country. The only problem is that we have not given them time to come up. Any leader who wants to come up, there will be those who have gazetted certain positions to be theirs and they don't want to leave. So we can have a system, and I think the framers of our constitution knew that if we have frequent changes of leadership, we shall have a big pool of leaders. Of course, each leader has a unique way of, a unique leadership style that he or she brings on board as they get into leadership positions. So when the framers of the Constitution said, at the head, if possibly the president serves for 2 terms, and we get another leader, okwongera ku block eyo nazimbirako. After 2 terms, omulala najja. Katolo, the 2 terms will be just in case they feel you have served better. In other developed democracies, like the US, you saw how Trump was thrown out just after 1 term.
He wanted to stay.
He really wanted to stay, but he
still had a chance actually to stay.
Yes, he could have decided to change the laws like we do it here. But I really want to see a Uganda that believes in the rule of law. If you have a constitution in place, follow it to the letter. Don't change laws just because you want them to favor you. So when we talk about leadership,
good
leadership is where leaders will play according to the rules of the game. Not the rules that are set by you and they must favor you and therefore you must be the winner all the time. So if we talk about leadership, I need to see a Uganda. Like, for example, I've told you I was born in 1972. I've not seen a leadership change peacefully from one hand to another. And here I am, qualified to become a president of this country. But
peacefully you can't.
maybe
is that what you're trying to say?
In a peaceful election, if we still, there has never been a peaceful election in Uganda, I will tell you that. President Museveni went to the bush because he thinks the election of 1980, where he participated as a member of parliament, was rigged. He was not a presidential candidate, but he gathered too much noise, n'afuna obusungu obw'amaanyi, n'okusinga be baawangula yena agenda mu nsiko. He was not a presidential candidate. Kati wulira obusungu bwe yalina obwamutwala mu nsiko ne banne. Yagenda mu nsiko okulwanyisa obubbi bwaki? Bw'obululu. Naye tunulira obubbi bw'obululu obuliwo mu biseera bino ebya Museveni. Kimu ku bintu ebyalwanyisa ebyamutwala mu nsiko. So really you see that our leaders, it is just an old wine in a new bottle. So if we can get real change, just like he promised Ugandans when he was taking on leadership, that it's not a mere change of guards, but a fundamental change. I don't know whether he really does a reality check, because when President Museveni came to power, he said, the problem of Africa is not actually the people. But the problem of Africa is leaders who overstay in office. At the end of this term, he's going to be 40 years old in office. And if there is any overstay that is beyond that, I don't know what we should call it.
Maybe that's not overstay.
But by that time, the African leaders that we had that had overstayed were like the examples of Mobutu Sese Seko Kuku Ngbendu was a banga. He was 27 years old in power at that time. So really,
so how,
if we can have leaders who respect,
change.
Leaders who respect institutions, leaders who rule following the laid down procedures, whether it benefits you or not, but you know that the law is law, if I may use Barack Obama's words. He said, I know the Americans still wanted me to leave, but law is law. I wanted my job, but because I have to leave, I must leave. By the time President Museveni came to power in 1986, Tanzania had a president, but since then, they have changed presidents from time to time. For us, we are still stuck with one man. And I just would like to challenge citizens of Uganda that really we can do better than we are doing. President Museveni played his part. He also needs to understand that other Ugandans equally have a vision. I know that this message is not supposed to target only President Museveni, but we are talking about leadership. If we are talking about leadership, there is also leadership development. How do you develop, nurture, and mentor leaders when you are super gluing on the stage? Part of mentorship requires that you take a step aside and you watch the people you have mentored to see them grow. You play the advisory role, you become a cheerleader and you say, yes, there you have done it well, and you enjoy the benefits of your mentorship.
Then you're a good leader.
Then you are a good leader. Successful leaders pull others and see them succeed. But if you think you are the only leader who will be a leader at all times, then you cease to be a good leader.
Yeah, you talked about the rule of law. How about the members of parliament who actually implement, let's say for President Museveni, overstaying in power, talk about the term limits, it came from the parliament, talk about the age limit, it went through the parliament. How about the members of parliament? And you were a member of parliament.
Yes, I was a member of parliament. And by the time I came to parliament, the members of parliament then, in 2005, had tampered with the constitution to remove the term limits. Now, I was in a parliament where the age limit was removed. I can tell you that there are Ugandans who also believe like I do, who think that we need checks and balances in our systems, and that we must have faces of leaders change from time to time. At that time, there are other members of parliament, like Dr. Miriam Attend, like the Honorable General Mugisha Muntu, like Muzei Bidandi Sali, like the Amanya Mushegas, the Muzei Ruzindana, the Honorable Sarah Chama, they stood up and said, President Museveni, I think enough is enough. You have served Ugandans. We don't have to change the term limits. Let's keep focused and give Ugandans the constitution that we have made for them. What did they get? A sacking. If for you, you think you have eaten enough, tubagobye mu cabinet, tubagobye mu bifo byammwe, mwe mugende muwumule if you want to rest.
Toyina kwogera ku kya term limits.
Toyina kwogera ku kya term limits. Abalala bagulibwa. Kiri on record, members of parliament then were given money to change the constitution. In 2017, in 2017, when they were removing the only remaining safety valve,
the age limit.
The age limit, I was part of it, and I was actually at the center of commanding the forces that were against the removal of the age cap as leader of the opposition. I can tell you, members of parliament went through pain. Twakubibwa. Mwalabe entale ezali mu parliament. A few members of parliament wanted to hold on to the principle in the constitution because we knew there was a reason why there was an age cap. We believed that the framers of the constitution knew that at a certain age, really, someone can't do much. You saw what happened in parliament. How the army forcefully entered parliament to beat up members who were against the proposal to lift the age cap. You saw how all the army and police were involved in tear gassing citizens who were trying to tell or to make a statement that the Uganda we want is one where leaders respect the laws of the land. So that is why I started that the Uganda I want is one that respects the laws. If you are a leader in a position of influence, don't shift goalposts because you feel they will favor you. And so, the members of parliament who think they will be bribed, they will be bought, they will be intimidated, and they conform to the standards of those in power, I will say, please, you are betraying your people.
Well, you're talking about, you've talked about how you were, mistreated when you're against, the age limit.
Yes.
And I think the big word to use there is torture, how you were tortured.
Yes.
That brings me to ask you, in line with the Uganda we want, how can we have a torture-free country?
We can only have a torture-free country if we have leaders who don't believe in torture. Leaders who feel that they are accountable to the population that they lead. Leaders who feel for their populations. And this can only happen if we have the right people in right places. If we have God-fearing people in places of influence. People who are spirit-led. People who believe in the service above self. But when you get people who think that they own the country, who believe that everything within the country belongs to them, and you hear a leader beginning to say, my oil, my this, my this, my this, and is forgetting that he's just holding everything in trust for Ugandans, you will be beaten, you will be tortured. Because they are protecting everything jealously as if it's their own. But when you have a leader who believes that I'm here on behalf of the people, because not all of us can be presidents, not all of us can be MPs at the same time, I'm here in trust or as a representative of the majority who are below there. And therefore, my duty is of a custodian who will know that is answerable to certain ills in our society. That is when you will have the army knowing that I'm answerable to the citizens. We call it the Uganda People's Defense Forces because UPDF, the army is supposed to respect the citizens. And if you really have the real respect for me, you don't have to torture me the way they torture people. But because we have an army that believes that its first cardinal mandate is to protect the regime, then they will do every ill that there is in the world. And when the regime thinks that everyone in the country needs to bow before them and not even say you have done this, it's wrong, you feel there is nobody who is supposed to hold you accountable, you will do everything that is there. The other day we were celebrating the life of Janan Luwum. I described him as a social justice activist. He condemned the ills in our society then, during the Amini time. And I saw speaker after speaker. I was watching the ceremony live on UBC. I saw speaker after speaker saying, you know, Amini's regime was terrible. You know, Amin murdered people. Yeah, you know, Amin did this. I said, but I think there is no big difference.
You were comparing.
I was just looking at what is happening now, and I asked, do these know that this regime also murdered 100 and so people during the 2021 elections? Do they know that this regime went and attacked a palace in Kasese and just murdered people in broad daylight? Do they know that this regime is torturing people? You look at Kakwenza, you look at Masereka, and you ask yourself, are we any different from Amin? So I really kept seeing, really, have we gone away from what Archbishop Janan Luwum was condemning at the time of his death to today? I look at a Uganda that will respect the cause for which Janan Luwum died.
Okay, Honorable, when you're talking about torture, how about those who actually begin the game, those who kick off the game of being tortured? Now I'm talking about the victim. What they do, what's their responsibility in not being tortured? Depending on what you think.
You know, you have a country. That's why I'm saying everything, if we can go by the rule of law, everything will be okay. You have a country whose constitution talks about freedom of expression, freedom of speech, freedom of association, and you even go ahead and say form political parties and belong to political parties, which means I'm free to belong to a political party of my choice. I'm free to speak the way I want to speak. Well, I should know that when I'm speaking, I can be held accountable. How do you hold someone accountable? There are systems in place. Yes, there are checks and balances. That's why the judiciary is there. If you think my actions have annoyed you, what do? Take me to the courts of law.
Because the court is there.
The court is there. Just launch in your complaint. Let them come to me and say, you know, this act that you did attracts a sentence of this much. Let me be able to defend myself. Maybe it was a fair comment. Let me be able to defend myself. After I have defended myself and I'm pronounced guilty, then the law can take its course. But where you just pick me from my house and say you said this, you go on me, you beat, you kill, you do what? You torture. Two wrongs can't make a right, for heaven's sake. So if you think I'm wrong, you don't have to do the wrong thing to correct me. Do the right thing, I can learn through the process. So let's use the systems, the institutions that we have to even resolve the conflicts that we have. That is why we continuously face challenges. That is why we continuously get ourselves on the wrong side of the law and therefore repeating the ills of history. Because we are not learning much from our past.
Still talking about a free country, another thing comes to me, away from a torture-free country, how can we have a corruption-free country?
You know, we can have a corruption-free country if we put the right people in the right places.
You've been talking about, I've heard you, say leaders, almost in many of your statements.
Yes.
What do you mean leaders? Because I'm not saying you're saying the leader, but you're saying leaders.
You know, when you talk about a leader, it would mean that you are talking about one space of leadership. But we have so many spaces, and all these spaces are intertwined. That's why there are 3 arms of government. There is the judiciary, there is the legislature,
and the executive.
there is the executive. In all these spaces, they are leaders. We have the social media. I mean the media fraternity. They are also leaders, the fourth estate. They are also leaders. We have members of the civil society. They are also leaders. And all these build to form a Uganda that we want. If the judiciary is not going to play its part, the parliament playing its part, the executive playing its part, the media playing its part, the civil society be let to play its part, then we shall have disjointed movements of troops. As we speak right now, all these systems have been fused into respecting just the presidency.
Including the fourth arm, the media?
The media is controlled, because where the media is told don't host so and so, and they don't.
I'm glad I'm not working for that media that is controlled.
They are telling them don't host so and so, don't air out this. Didn't you hear radio stations that were closed during elections? Haven't you seen opposition politicians thrown out of media houses? So we can't say that the media is equally free. Civil society organizations were closed down. Others had their accounts freezed. Is that freedom? If people can be rearrested in the premises of court and nothing is done, really, do we still think even the judiciary is free from the torture that we are exhibiting? If you can see parliament legislate on gunpoint, so that is the leaders that I'm talking about.
Okay, yes. So now,
so when I'm talking about leaders, that if we want to have a corruption-free country, we should have the right people in right places. If I know that I am put into an office because people think I will serve and I'm ready to serve, I will not accept a bribe. I will know that I'm in an office for purposes of serving. And to us in the Alliance for National Transformation, that's why I will say service above self. You don't have to look at yourself to offer your service. And I look forward to a Uganda where all those who will be put into a position of leadership will know that I'm going there to serve.
Not
and you
to be
give
served.
Your service without any expectations that are different from what you are supposed to get. We are reaching a situation where whoever goes into an office, the first question we'll ask is, wano mukikola mutya okulaba nti mwebezaawo.
I thought they're asking actually to know how to do things.
That is not to do things. Omuntu akera kumacha gagamba kati ngenda mu office. Which nut should I tie to make sure nfunamu echangi? Not how do I do my job better? How do I serve humanity best? But they are thinking of how do I crack a deal to get to where I want to go.
Kuonga kapya ko tugambi. Mu kiseera kino abamu abagenda mu mirimu abafuna emirimu. Bobe babusoka kubuuza. Mukikola mutya wano.
How do you
okulowooza ayagala
kumanya ekifa ku mulimu. Naye yo nga ayagala kumanya wano nkikola ntya bwe mba njagala kufuna amaka. Nebeezaawo ntya. Si kubeezaawo abantu bolina kuweereza naye nga weebeezaawo otya. Kyekyo kyekiriwo. So I really look forward to a Uganda where someone will go into an office to know that my cardinal responsibility is to serve Ugandans. Because you are there, many would have loved to be in that space, but they have not gotten the opportunity to be in there. Do them a favor, let them get a service from you at no cost.
Wow. That marks the end of our part one actually, the Uganda we want, part one. You've heard it from Honorable Winnie Kiiza'S. My name is Robert Mlanzi. For now, I sign out.